The scholar you should listen to is someone who is going to help you polish your heart. Assalamu alaikum. One question that I get quite often, and I've been getting it for a long time, and it goes through periods. It has a cyclical, periodic, maybe seasonal quality to it, is there are so many different scholars and teachers saying sometimes different things, sometimes in contradiction to one another. Sometimes they get into, I don't know if you want to call it disputes between one another. Who do I listen to? You know, as an average Muslim who's not necessarily well versed in the Sharia, who's not necessarily studied, didn't travel, didn't do any of these things. I'm just trying to basically entrust my religious education to somebody. Who do I entrust it with? You know, it would be impossible for you to go now and master the tradition for the sake of discerning between the scholars. But I'll tell you a couple of things that you can get from the Quran, from the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and a statement by Imam Malik. Let's see. Starting with the statement of Imam Malik. How do you know who's a scholar that you should follow? Imam Malik said, لَيْسَ الْعِلْمِ كَثْرَةَ الرِّوَايَاتِ. That knowledge, scholarship, is not being able to quote so many different things. It's not being able to back up every little statement with what you have with, well, you know, so Imam so-and-so said this and Sheikh so-and-so said that, and we have this verse in the Quran saying this and a hadith saying that. That's not true knowledge. That's academia. You know, there are people, you go in departments of Eastern Studies, Islamic Studies in Western universities, there are non-Muslims who have mastered a lot of the tradition better than many Muslims. I remember there was one professor at the university where I went to. This man writes sometimes commentaries on verses and publishes this stuff, and he's a non-Muslim. So it's not you knowing all of these things. Somebody could have the Quran memorized in all of his variant recitations, know all the tafsir, know all the hadith, know all of these things. That's an academic. What makes a scholar? Imam Malik said, وَإِنَّمَا هُوَ نُورٌ يَقْذِفُهُ اللَّهُ فِي قَلْبِ الْمُؤْمِنِ. That true knowledge is a light that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala casts into the heart of the believer. That's true knowledge. Scholarship in Islam has to be translated. It has to be something that, you know, ilm in Arabic, if you flip the letters around, you get amal. So scholarship has to translate to amal, to action. So if the person that you're talking to, you notice in their behavior, because the true telltale sign of somebody really having knowledge in Islam is in their behavior. There's a story of the companions coming to the Prophet ﷺ, and they said to him, we just buried a woman, she was pious, she was, you know, in the ritual aspect. She prayed, she fasted, she did all these things. But her tongue, nobody was safe from it. And he ﷺ said about her, لا خير فيها هي في النار, that there is no good in her, she's in the hellfire. On the other hand, there was a very simple woman who, when she passed away, when they spoke about her, they said she only prayed just, you know, basically just the bare minimum obligations, gave much in charity, but her behavior, her character, that it translated into character, it improved her character. And he ﷺ said, now that one is going to be of the people of paradise. So when you're looking at scholars, who should I follow? Who should I listen to? It's going to be the manifestation of that scholarship has to be in their action, in their behavior. If you see somebody that spends a lot of their time in argumentations, knowing that the Prophet ﷺ said, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْمِرَاءُ فِي الدِّينِ, that be weary, woe unto you if you argue in the religion. فَإِنَّمَا هَلَكَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ بِالْمِرَاءِ فِي الدِّينِ أو بِالْجِدَالِ فِي الدِّينِ, that the people that have come before you, they were destroyed by arguing in the religion. So if you find people that are constantly bickering and arguing and trying to refute one another, and that right there, for me personally, that's a red flag popping up all over the place with alarm signs. This is not somebody I want to associate with. The religion is already, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. That we, the royal we have verily descended this dhikr, this remembrance, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala vowed this time around, in contradiction to other nations before, in opposition to other nations before, they were entrusted with preserving the tradition. This time around, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's it. This is the final one. وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. That we are the ones who are going to preserve it. So if you find people that are so concerned about preserving the religion to the exclusion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's decree with it, and that's not to say people should be lax and lazy and not speak up when wrongs are being said, but that's just to say you look at the behavior of the individual. If a lot of their time is spent trying to refute everybody, that's a red flag for you. I'll give you an example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life. When he was in Mecca, Quraysh, before he went to Medina, Quraysh, the disbelievers of Quraysh, used to go out during the Hajj season and warn people that are coming, the Hujjaj, the pilgrims that are coming, warn them, the merchants that are coming to sell. They used to warn all of them, be wary of that man. They're talking about the Prophet ﷺ. He's going to misguide you, he's going to break up your family, he's going to do this, this and that. What did the Prophet ﷺ do when he went and spoke with these people? When he got a chance to speak with people? He didn't spend his time trying to refute and respond to what's being said about him. He just gave the teaching. He let the tradition speak for itself. That's all he did. And sure enough, لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْمُشْرِكُونَ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already vowed that He's going to make this religion manifest in spite of anybody disliking it, if you just let it speak for itself. So when teachers of mine that I've studied with, that I maintain connections with, those individuals that I make sure that I learn from, their behavior, it's translated in their behavior. They don't spend time trying to refute so and so and so and so. If they read some contradictory opinions, they just look at it and it's like, subhanallah, and they just kind of give their 2 cents about it and explain why it might be wrong, but without issuing insults and deprecating remarks and these things. So that's a telltale sign. So you have the seerah, you have the statement of Imam Malik, and you have the Quran telling you that Allah said He vowed that He's going to protect this religion. So who should you listen to? Basically someone that when you listen to their teaching, first of all, it has to be backed up with the Quran and the Sunnah, first and foremost. That's the primary thing. If they're just speaking out of their own mind and they're not telling you verses from the Quran and telling you hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and trying to relate it through that lens, the worldview, the Islamic worldview, that's a red flag if they're not using that. But mostly, the Prophet ﷺ told us, "Istafti qalbaka wa in aftawka wa aftawk." Seek a fatwa from your heart, even if you gain many fatwas. That means, it's actually a comment, you can use a commentary on that, a statement of Imam Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. Ibn al-Qayyim said, what is the Sharia? What is this tradition? It's all rahmatun kulluha, it's all mercy, adlun kulluha, it's all justice, maslahatun kulluha, it's all benefits, wa hikmatun kulluha, and it's all wisdom. If anything you hear goes against these 4 principles that Imam Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah said, automatically you should say, and he said, actually he followed that up by saying, وَإِنْ أُدْخِلَتْ لَيْسَتْ مِنَ الشَّرِيعَةِ فِي شَيْءٍ. He said it's not from the Sharia. وَإِنْ أُدْخِلَتْ فِيهَا بِالتَّأْوِيلِ. Even if it's inserted into it using interpretation. So who should you listen to? Someone that, the summary, it's sum up to all of this. Someone who is going to guide you to fulfill a verse in Surah Ash-Shu'ara. That verse is, it's a couple of verses. يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ. On a day when there is nothing will benefit you. No wealth, no children. إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. Except if you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sound heart. The scholar you should listen to is someone who is going to help you polish your heart. If you find somebody that is planting inside your heart the seed of hatred, the seed of animosity, the seed of condescension to other people, that's someone you should be a little bit concerned about. And that's just a general thing. That's what I do anyways. This is, again, as I said, these videos are just a reminder to myself first and foremost, but this is what I do. The second I find somebody, my heart just kind of is not settled, I just move on. And I don't talk about it. I don't try to warn people about this person or that person. I just don't talk about it. I'll just go and let the tradition speak for itself. I hope that helps. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Assalamu alaikum. So now you've seen some of the videos. I'm going to be trying to post these scattered thoughts, I'm actually going to call it, because they're just scattered thoughts, as often as possible. I'm trying to go for a minimum of 4 times a week, but I'm trying to build this platform on YouTube. So I'm hoping that if you enjoy this content, that you would subscribe, like, comment below, and share this video, and tell your mommy, tell your daddy, tell your pops, tell your grandpa, tell your grandma, tell everybody. If there is any benefit that can be derived from these, I would really appreciate it if you can spread it.